All right, what's up, guys? Above Average here. I'm going to give you my Bystial Orcust Runick deck profile. I think this deck is phenomenal. It could be really, really good this format. I played with the Horus cards. I played with the Runick cards. I played it pure. Although I think the Horus cards add a lot to the deck, I personally don't like how it could lose to a lot of hand traps. It could, sometimes going second into an established board, going into negates, it's not the best. So although I do think it's very good, I personally believe that the Runick version is the most competitive and the most viable version you can play of Orcust right now. I have a love with this deck. It's the deck that took me to my first ever regional top. I got third place at a regional. I've gotten second place at a regional with Orcust, and I genuinely really, really love the cards. And now that we finally have Harp back and Gersu in the same deck, it's kind of crazy. We never had Harp and Gersu in the same deck, so I'm going to show you some spicy things in this deck list. Hopefully you could take some things from this and maybe help fix your deck, or maybe, it could help you, in your tournament, help you with your deck building. So to start off, I play 3 Gersu. I think this card is the absolute best normal summon you could play in Orcust. I think it's superior than to Scrap Recycler or even playing Armageddon Knight and Dark Refer. I think this is the card that you always want to normal summon. Your 1-card combo also puts a token on your opponent's board, so that could be good if they play Fenrir and stuff like that. So I think this card is phenomenal, and I think it's so good that I also play 2 purple. Now, this card is a pseudo Gersu, but sometimes could be even better, right? The fact that it banishes itself means that you get access to Gersu, as well as it comes back during the following turn, meaning it's another Gersu, it's another push on your following turn, which you playing the Runick card, you should be able to live another turn. The fact that it's level 8, it's really, really good. And what comes up really often is actually like you having purple, and then you normal summon Gersu, and then when they try to target your Gersu, you could chain your purple, target your Gersu, banish it, and then search another purple. And then this card still resolves its effect, which is really, really cool. So I absolutely love these cards. Playing the Runick cards, you always put a monster in the extra monster zone, and Galatea setting a Orcust card from your deck, you're able to easily establish a column. So I rarely find this card breaking. Your Bystial is also set up regained, right? So it's really, really easy to set up a columns with this. Also, post siding, just a little tip, you always side 1 to maybe 2 out, depending on how many cards you want to side in, but usually you always end up siding out 1 because you can't afford to see multiples going first. Then to the Orcust monsters is double Nightmare, double Skeleton, and 1 Harp, nothing else. So a lot of people say, oh, you're playing Runicks, like how come you're playing only 2 Nightmare? So if you see Nightmare, it's good, right? You're gonna pitch it off your Runicks, but realistically, you don't want to see multiples of this, and like this isn't the way that you really just get the engine started. Like you want to normal summon Gersu, right? You don't, or like use Harp to summon Gersu from the deck. You don't really want to like be pitching Nightmare, especially like going second. It's a little weird. So I think 2 is the sweet spot. It avoids like the bricking. Normally people play 2 Skeleton, and I kind of agree with them. I think Skeleton should be at 1, but however, in this version, playing the Runick cards, normal summoning Skeleton is very, very good. It just demands a response from your opponent, or else you're going to go straight into the Galatea and then ding. So it's really good going second. And then obviously the 1 Harp, right? No Brass Bombard and no Wand. A lot of people play Wand. Now, with like Harp being back, so there's a certain way that you can play the deck, and I feel like some Orcust players know this, that you actually just don't need Wand. If you manage your resources and cycle through the Orcust cards well enough, and you attach with Ding, you don't ever need Wand realistically, right? And if you get to the late game where you need Wand, realistically that means that you kind of misplayed somewhere most of the time. But I want to note that if you do play Wand, you're adding another brick to the deck, right? And the argument that you could pitch it with Hugin is not a good one, right? You want to be pitching other cards. Playing Wand kind of is a pseudo brick to me, and I don't think should be played in this deck. So that's it for the Orcust card. You're just playing the good ones and the ones that you want to see all the time. Then this is an honorary Orcust card. You always play this in Orcust. I don't care, bro. Like, this card has won me so many games. Games that you have, like, you were supposed to lose, you actually, like, this card just could prevent an attack. If they have Fenrir, they can't get over it because it's 2450. and like it demands a response, right, from your opponent. If they don't out this card, you know, you could pop a card or like overlay with it and then like bring it back for OTK. So even if you banish 8 from the top of your deck, I'd rather banish 8 from the top of my deck than lose the game, right? So this card is very, very good, and it comes up, I think, like almost every game. Then for the Bystial engine, I just played 2 Lubellion, 1 Magnamut, 1 Baldrake, and then double Druis Worm. This one being the most important one, but you could play 3 Lubellion. I just don't like bricking on multiples, quote unquote bricking. Some games you just see a bunch of Bystials and like you can't really play the game. So I found this to be the sweet spot. Double Druis Worm, because this is the most important one, because I don't play any hand traps in the main deck, which sounds kind of crazy, but using your Bystials, just putting big bodies on the board and then using your Runick cards is kind of how you stop your opponent. You know, even if these cards don't hit your opponent's strategy, just putting like a bunch of Bystials in defense, your opponent is gonna have a very hard time OTKing you, right, through all your engines. So these cards are just more than enough. Druis Worm being the best one, because you know, if they have to, it makes it harder for them to OTK you pretty much, right? But you could definitely play through 3 Lubellion. I just found 2 to be the sweet spot, because when I was playing 3, I always ended up siding one out. So 3 tip. This part, I think everyone knows. There's not really much to say. Just max Runick, and then the 1 Dispelling. I don't play Smiting Storm, just because of how side deck patterns work, but you could definitely do that. I don't think it's bad. I was playing it for a while, but I decided to cut the engine down just a little bit, and I always kind of like side this out too, I realized, but these are just like the main ones that you have to play, right? Nothing important there. And then 2 Fountain, you kind of have to play 2 Fountain. You know, if you draw one and you want to pitch a card from your hand, you know, you want to have another Fountain to search into so you can pitch off a Hugin. But 2 Fountain is good, right? I kind of like side one out sometimes, I realized, and it's a common theme with this deck, and the reason why I think it needs just a little more exploring. The hardest part of this deck, like the most strenuous part, is just side decking. It's just very hard to side deck in this deck because you're playing the Orcust engine, the Bystial engine, and then you're playing the Runick engine, right? It's just a lot of cards and a lot of engine. Although the engine provides like all the utility that you need, sometimes you really need those side deck cards, right? And the hard part is just figuring out what to take out for those side deck cards. Now, Reasoning, my favorite card in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I love that I get to play it in this deck, is a god card in this deck. It's literally like a Runick card, a Bystial card, an Orcust card, you know. It doesn't matter what level they call. You milling Runick names is really, really good. It gets you out of the early game, which is what you want in Runicks. You know, once you get into the late game with Runicks, you're kind of winning the game. The Bystials, very, very good. If you hit any Bystial, hitting Lubellion just keeps milling, right? You just keep milling if you hit Lubellion. And then hitting any Orcust name is good, right? So this card is like a god card in this deck. Then the Orcust card that you search is Crescendo, Return, an MVP, best Orcust card, and the card that I always set is Einsatz. So these cards, you know, everyone knows, but Einsatz I want to talk about a little bit. So like I said, getting out of the early game is the hard part. And just establishing Einsatz, you get to send an Orcust card during your opponent's turn, and then if they don't deal with it during your turn, you know, if they summon a monster, which almost every single deck in the format right now summons a monster during your turn, whether it's Bystials, whether it's Fire Kings, or whether it's, I don't know, there's so many cards in the game right now that like they summon during your turn, right? So this card always tends to get like 1 to 2 mills out of the deck, which just pushes all the Orcust cards out of your deck and into the graveyard, which is really, really powerful. A lot of people overlook this card and think it's like fluff, but it's actually phenomenal. And I want to note that I do side this out going second against combo decks, but going first, I always keep it in. It's kind of like an engine card, but it's a good pseudo fluff card to take out when you know you're going second. And then these cards are just, you know, the basic one-ofs that are just really good. But I tend to prioritize activating Einsatz. Then the 1 Regained, you can play 2. 1 has been working fine for me. Again, I don't want to brick on multiples, and I think 1 is just perfect. You know, you get it out from the deck if you need it. Then lastly, 1 God card, again, Foolish Burial and Reasoning, just phenomenal cards. And the last 2 cards are 2 Skill Drain, which is like I said, I'm playing a 43 card deck, so I kind of bumped the deck up a little bit, which sounds weird, right? Playing a Runick deck with more than 40 cards, but with this type of deck, you kind of need to inflate it a little bit with again, pseudo fluff cards that provide, you know, really good utility, like skill drain. This could be an auto win. So you have cards to side out, right? If you just play the engine and make it 40 cards, you're gonna have a horrible time with siding. So these are the numbers that have been working out really well for me. Now, onto the extra deck, which is really, really important here. 2 Hugin, 1 Jerry, 1 Sleipnir. Very good with Regained. I tend to do this almost every single game if I have Regain on the board, and the 1 Moonin. This is supposed to be Linkuriboh. I couldn't find my Linkuriboh, but this is supposed to be Linkuriboh. This is really important. The people that don't play this, please play this. You'll realize it comes up a lot, especially going second. You know, making Gersu a 1 card Zeus is really, really cool. Then the 1 SP. I tend to banish my own cards off of this and then regain, put them back. So that's really cool. This card's really, really good, obviously. 2 Galatea and the 1 Longursu. I will keep on playing this card. I feel like when I cut it, I want it, and when I like play it, it always comes up. So I don't know how people don't play this card, really. I think maybe it's my play style. I don't know. Double Ding, you need Double Ding. I tried cutting it to 1, but I just kept needing it. So yeah, Double Ding is really, really good. And then the Zeus, the Typhon, and then the last card as I played Dispatter. I was playing Chaos Angel, but I realized I wanted something that like will help my first turn boards. And you know, making Gersu a tuner with 2 cards in the column and any Bystial, you can make Dispatter. I feel like this comes up often. Like you think it doesn't, but you make Gersu a tuner very often. You know, if you have the Runick cards. So this card has been very good for me. You know, reborning any of your banish too is really, really good. It just adds to your certain end voids. And I'm gonna give a spicy tip if you made it to this far in the deck profile. It's a little sneaky one. It's a little sneaky thing. I actually don't play this or this. What I do play is I play 7 Sins and Pain Gainer. So these cards, you could slap on top of Ding. You have to look them up. I don't remember exactly what they're called. But 7 Sins, I'm sorry, Pain Gainer slaps on top of Ding. It's another disruption. You know, every time your opponent activates a spell or trap, they take 600 damage, which is like significant, especially when it's near time. It also can clear monsters on the board, destroy monsters on the board, and then you get to slap on 7 Sins on top of it, which is a 4,000 dark monster, right? That every time you go into Ding, you go into 7 Sins, and it can give your Zeus materials more names, more materials basically, right? If you haven't used an Orcust card in that turn before you went into 7 Sins. Another thing is with skill drain, you kind of set up 7 Sins and then you activate skill drain, and then you have a 4,000 beat stick with skill drain on the board, and so you kind of win the game. Although I didn't include those cards in this deck profile, you don't have to play them, but I certainly would. So that's a little spicy tip if you've been paying attention. Now side deck is Mekk-Knight Blue Sky. This card comes up every single time you're going second. Phenomenal card. People like kind of just say sure, like resolve it, right? And then I search purple and Gersu, and then it's crazy, right? Because then you summon purple, you summon Gersu, you can chain, banish a Gersu. You can do so many things with so many cards. You know, you're having 7 cards in your hand and bodies on the board, and so this card is like you always want in your deck going second, right? And playing 1, you risk the chance of you're not falling into the chance of drawing multiple. So 1 has been just perfect. 2 Prankertops, just really, really good right now. Really good going second card. And then here's where I hide all my hand traps, which is 3 Ash, 3 Bell, and 2 Ogre. So you kind of just put these cards in against the matchup that are really good against, right? You could put them in the main deck, but then like sometimes they'll be decent or sometimes they're going to be dead. But putting them in the side deck, you know you're going to have these cards in when they're really, really good, right? So against Labyrinth, you can put all these in. Against Centurion, you can put these in, right? Or like, you know, it depends on the matchup, you know, you can put them in. Realistically, like these are slap on the wrist cards, so that's why I keep them on the side. So this way, I would only put them in when I know they're going to be good. And to supplement these hand traps is one of the best cards in my side deck is Shared Ride. Again, this is like the hidden goo. I think it's going to be really good in the upcoming format. Any Fire King deck, you know, they add from grave and they add from the deck. So you could like draw a lot of cards, you know, helping you draw into hand traps, helping you draw into Runick cards, Orcust cards, and you kind of tell your opponent, beat me, right? And like, you know, if you draw hand traps and draw Bystials and start putting them on the board or drawing more Runick cards, you know, activating them, they're going to have a very hard OTKing you. And if they don't OTK you, you're going to have like 6, 7 cards in your hand to play with, like cards on the board. So this card is for sure the MVP in the side deck. Then last 2 cards is One Change of Heart. I just wanted this card, like, you know, going second. It could be, you know, easily bait 1-for-1 interruption, but if they don't, and you could take a card, it's just really, really good with you know, any Orcust card going into Galatea. And then the last card is One Ice Dragon's Prison. I just wanted a trap, like, blowout card. And this hits a lot of the main decks right now that are in the format. So, like, kind of like Fire Kings, Labyrinth, you know, Rescue Ace, it could be really good against a lot of decks. Even Vanadium, it could be really good going first. So I kind of wanted like a blowout solid trap card going first. Some honorable mentions are Dark Charmer. You know, you could play the Dark Charmer. I think this deck is still like in the works, but I've been playing this list for about a week now. I've been playing it at locals. I went to locals a few times, and regionals are coming up, so I might end up playing this deck. And I've been doing really well with it at locals as well as online. So let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you got something out of the deck profile. You got some spicy little tips from the deck profile. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And that's it from